want to tell you about a room I walked into early in my career that I had no business being in. It was a meeting with experienced senior people, the kind of people who'd been doing this for 20 years. I was not experienced. I was not senior, and at the time I had to be present. I remember the feeling walking in, not nerves, I've had nerves. This was something heavier. It was the genuine belief that I was about to be exposed, that everyone in that room was going to see very clearly that I didn't belong there. I did the presentation. It was not good. I stumbled. I lost my place. I rushed through parts I should have slowed down on. And I left and thought, I'll never do that again. But I had to. A few weeks later, another room, another presentation. This one was slightly less bad, and then another and another. And one day, I couldn't tell you exactly when, I walked into a room and the feeling was different. Not absent, but different. Manageable, something I could work with rather than something working against me. And I realized something important. I hadn't built my confidence by working on my mindset. I hadn't visualized success. I hadn't read the right book or repeated the right affirmation. I had done the thing enough times that my brain had gathered sufficient evidence that I could handle it. That's confidence, and it's not what most people think it is. Here is the myth, and I call it a myth because it is genuinely damaging. The myth says, build confidence first, then act. Feel ready, then do it. Feel confident, then step forward. Wait until you feel sure. I have never met anyone who achieved something meaningful who waited until they felt confident before starting. Not one person, because the confidence doesn't come before the action. It comes as a result of it. People who appear confident, the ones who seem to move through difficult situations with ease, are not people who are born with some special quality you lack. They are people who accumulated a large enough body of evidence through repeated action and experience that they can trust themselves to handle difficult situations. They built it, it was not given to them. And the only way to build it is to act before you feel ready. There's a psychologist named Bandura who spent decades studying this. His concept, self-efficacy, is the most useful definition of confidence I've ever encountered. Self-efficacy is not a general feeling of I'm a confident person. It's highly specific. It's the belief in your ability to execute a specific task in a specific situation. You can have high self-efficacy in public speaking and low self-efficacy in financial conversations. You can be confident in managing a team and terrified of confrontation. Self-efficacy is not a single dial. It's dozens of different dials, each built separately through direct experiences. And here's what Bandura's research found. The most powerful way to build self-efficacy is not through affirmations, not through visualization, not through reading about other people who did the thing. It is through mastery experiences, actually doing the thing, especially when it's hard, and discovering that you can handle it. The evidence your brain responds to most is the evidence you create yourself. Let me draw you the loop, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Action leads to experience. Experience creates evidence. Evidence shifts belief. Belief enables more action. More action creates better evidence. That's the loop. That's how confidence is actually built. And fear doesn't attack you halfway through the loop. Fear attacks you at the very beginning, before step one, before the action. It tells you that you're not ready, that you might fail, that the experience will be humiliating and there's no evidence to support you yet, which is true because you haven't done it yet. Fear breaks the loop before it starts. And the only antidote is to take the first step anyway. Not boldly, not fearlessly, just one step into the loop. Because once you're in it, the evidence starts accumulating and the loop becomes self-sustaining. Every person you've ever admired for their confidence was in that loop for years before you noticed them. Here's a practical exercise that I find generally useful, and I want you to take it seriously. I want you to keep what I call a confidence portfolio. It can be in a notebook, it can be in your phone, it can be in a document. The format doesn't matter. Every time you do something that scared you, every time you had a difficult conversation, made a challenging decision, did something publicly that felt exposed, tried something and failed, and kept going, you write it down. Not to celebrate it necessarily, just to record it. Because your brain is very good at forgetting the evidence. When you're frightened of something new, it doesn't automatically scan back through your history and say, Remember all the times you were scared and handled it anyway? It focuses on the threat in front of you. But you can interrupt that by having a written record, proof, a portfolio of evidence that says, I have done hard things before. I have been uncomfortable and I've come through it. This is not motivational fluff. This is countering a cognitive bias with data. Start tonight. What's one thing in the last year that you did despite being scared? Write it down. That's your first entry. Here's a distinction I think matters a lot. There are two different kinds of confidence. One is the confidence that comes from preparation, from genuinely knowing your material, doing your homework, being ready. The other is the kind of confidence that's manufactured, the fake it till I make it bravado that often masks complete unpreparedness. The first is durable, the second collapses under pressure. I'm not a fan of advice that says just act confident without anything underneath it, because people can sense the difference. And more importantly, you know the difference. You know when your confidence is built on solid preparation versus when you're just putting on a performance. Thorough preparation removes the legitimate reasons to doubt yourself. You still might be nervous, but when you've genuinely done the work, you can walk into a difficult situation knowing that you're prepared. Your preparation is real and your concern is just your nervous system being overcautious. That's a different kind of inner experience, and it leads to a different outer performance. Don't fake the confidence, build the preparation that makes it real. Let's talk about the practical, in the moment experience. Because theory is one thing, standing outside a room you're terrified to walk into is another. 3 things that actually work. First, name it. Say it internally or even out loud. I notice I feel scared. Not I am scared, I notice I feel scared. That small linguistic shift, observer to the emotion rather than being the emotion, creates psychological distance. Research consistently shows that labeling an emotion reduces its intensity. Second, breathe. Specifically, make your exhale longer than your inhale. 4 counts in, 6 counts out. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the calming system, and counteracts the physiological fear response. Third, take the first physical steps. Open the door, say the first sentence, make the first move, because the fear is almost always highest before you begin, not during. Once you're in action, the nervous system has something to do besides generate fear. The goal isn't to eliminate the feeling, the goal is to act in spite of it. Every time you do that, the loop turns, the evidence accumulates, the confidence grows. The last layer is the deepest one, and it's the one that most advice on confidence skips. At some point, confidence stops being something you do and starts being something you are. The language shifts. Not, I did a hard thing today, but I'm someone who does hard things. Not, I spoke up this time, but I'm someone who speaks up. James Clear talks about this in the context of habits. The most powerful level of change is identity level change. Not changing your outcomes, not changing your actions, changing the story you tell about who you are. When you act from identity, the question is no longer, am I ready? The question is that what I do? And if you've decided that you are someone who does hard things, even when scared, the answer is yes. Before the feelings have a chance to talk you out of it. This works best as a before the action statement. Not I did it, so I must be brave, but I am someone who does this, therefore I will. Say it to yourself, write it down, mean it before you feel it. The feeling will follow the behavior, not the other way around. One thing tonight, write down one situation in the next week where you've been playing it safe, where you've been waiting to feel more confident before acting. Then write down the first step, not the whole thing, just the first step. That will start the action. Confidence loop, and then take it. Not when you feel ready this week, before you feel ready. Drop in the comments what you've done.